Shalom, friends, and thank you for your presence. It's really a joy to see Jews and to see humans just willing to cultivate presence, willing to cultivate mindfulness, awareness, and willing to connect to Jewish spirituality. It's just really precious. And I want to invite us, as we are still arriving and opening our meditation for today, to appreciate how precious this is. To appreciate really the space, your presence, the presence you're bringing and the presence you're receiving from others. And perhaps you're coming every day. And perhaps you got used to it already. And it's all the more so important to remember how precious this is and to not take it for granted. And today we're going to talk about exactly this, the preciousness of every single contribution to a klal, to a community. But first, let's take a moment to arrive. Let's sit comfortably. Let's settle. Let's drop in the body from here, from the forehead, the brain to my heart. And perhaps from my heart to my belly. Let's give some rest to the thinking machine there. And come back to the utter simplicity of a body alive, breathing, a heart beating. So we'll sit for just a couple of minutes of quieting, of hashkata, before we go into our learning. So with the eyes closed or gazing down, I invite a deeper breath. And I invite 100% of my awareness just on this breath. Like nothing else in the world matters right now. And one more time like this. Devotion. Full concentration in this in-breath. And exhaling. And perhaps this is the beginning of your day. Perhaps like Rabbi Mark, you're in and out of meetings. Perhaps you're rushing to work after this, or to cooking, or to taking care of someone. Perhaps you are coming with worries, concern, health issues, prayers, hope. And can we just put all our bags down next to us? Can we just put them down for now? And just be here with this heart beating, with these legs and these feet resting, and with this breath breathing. Just letting everything be just as it is for a couple of minutes of hashkata, of quieting. And if I feel agitation, if I feel unease, because suddenly there is no stimulation, no voice, no direction of focus, can I just really relax into the felt sensation of my body breathing? Can I open to new perceptions? And if I truly believed that offering my full attention to this moment, learning to be really present, would bring me insight and true transformation, would I be even more dedicated to this moment? Would I give my best attention, my best energy to this meditation? Would I be active in this meditation, actively present? And one more minute like this of presence, present presence. And a beautiful breath in. Out. Just appreciating perhaps a different quality of presence now, as opposed to 5, 6 minutes ago. Feel free to stay with your eyes closed. I will be offering a short teaching, but I want to invite you to listen not with your brain, but with your whole being to receive it. And so you don't need to open your eyes, whatever feels right for you in this moment, but just with the same quality of presence. Today that we are sitting together feels like a time of endings and of beginnings. Today we'll open the last day of the week of the Sphira of Yesod, which is the before to last week of the 7 weeks that we count in between Pesach and Shavuot. So we're like arriving in the beginning of the end of this journey. And perhaps it's an opportunity, as I suggested in the meditation, for this last week to give all of ourselves to this practice of purification, to believe in it, to take it seriously. Malchut, the next sphira, nobility. It's the quality of receptiveness, receiving. And that's what we're getting ready to do. We're getting ready to receive. And that takes cleansing, making space, which is exactly what we do when we meditate. We cleanse our system from recurring thoughts and memories kind of compulsively returning because they haven't been seen, they haven't been met. And so they keep coming back and knocking at the door of our attention. And by offering my presence, by accepting to see and to meet lovingly what is, I enable that cleansing. Cleansing, it's not just our homes, or it's not just the external body in the shower. This is what we're doing here. And then we're opening a new book this Shabbat, the book of Bamidbar in the desert, as we're welcoming a new month, the month of Sivan this week. So just so many beginnings. And Bamidbar, it really is a new step in our collective journey. And we came out of Egypt, and then we learned to build a society with rules and rituals. We learned what to do and how to relate to the divine. And then it's like we close this chapter with the divine avodah service and the task of the Kohanim and building the Mishkan, and everything is in place. And now as we open the book of Bamidbar, suddenly we look at ourselves and we kind of check in. Where are we? Who are we? Where are we at? And that really is the opening of the book of Bamidbar. 3 counts during the same parasha, counting with different words each time. And so I want to share with you just a little spark of a teaching I'll be offering to my class this week, with whom I study the parasha with the Hasidic master, the Mea Shiloach, Mordechai Yosef Leiner, the Ishbitzo Rebbe. And he's commenting on the opening of Parashat Bamidbar, one very famous pasuk, verse, sentence, Se'u et rosh kol edat bnei Israel, which is translated as count, but it really is literally raise, this idea of raising the heads, of elevating. And so we're counting a community, but we're raising individual heads. And I want to share with you, I don't do this often. There's so many times I'm quite critical of various aspects of Jewish culture. But this is one aspect where I really feel we found something quite precious, which is, and I'll stop sharing again for now, the balance between the importance of the individual and the meaning of the community. And I think this is something we forget sometimes when we communicate with other cultures. We forget that we speak from different cultural paradigms. And Western society really has become, Western culture in general, wherever it is, the culture of the individual. And the community is here as a resource for the individual. And as a result, I can be quite self-centered. And as a result, I can actually be quite lonely and depressed. one of the consequences of too much attention to the self. And then there are communities who are really community oriented, in which the individual doesn't really matter so much. You can see this in Japan, you can see this in the Middle East, in some cultures, where the death of an individual doesn't really matter. And then people feel they can't breathe, that they have no space to exist for themselves. And then the Jewish culture, the Torah here comes to teach us something so long ago, how precious we are as a whole, and we will receive revelation as a whole, as a community, but that also each of us will receive it differently. And that each of us matters. And this is what I want to share with you from the Mer Shiloach. That he's saying, כי מתוך כלל ישראל ניכר גדולת השם יתברך. From the entire community, from within, is known the greatness of the divine. ואם נחסך אחד מכלל ישראל, אז יחסך המזוג. And if one of them is missing, then the whole mixture, the whole ensemble, the whole community, there is something missing. And then he's offering this beautiful image of a mosaic of a king, the image of a king and nobility, and that if one piece of the mosaic is missing, then the whole mosaic is kind of not complete. And I hesitated sharing with you something here about the heartbroken context that we're in, of a war and of hostages missing and of bodies missing, and how it affects us, and how I hope it would affect humanity also. But if we look at the other side of the coin of suffering, it's really the emphasis on the sense that each of us matters uniquely, and that being part of a whole doesn't annul my uniqueness because I am a spark of the divine. That's why. That's the why. Because the spark of the divine is within each of us. And then if I recognize that a spark of the divine is not just in me, but in you and you and you and you and you, then it's an invitation to honor preciously each of these sparks. The sea doesn't cancel the drops of water. Each drop matters. And so when I meditate, I start with this drop. And I try to help this drop awaken from the trance of the ego and all the things that make me miserable. So friends, let's sit just honoring this aliveness that there is within me, the spark of the divine, and then feeling all the sparks that are here sitting next to me on this Zoom, on this live stream. Let's sit, friends. Let's sit with that simple instruction of appreciating the preciousness of your aliveness and of the connection with all the other alivenesses through each in-breath and each out-breath. Don't look for peak experiences. Don't look for something super exciting. Just connect to the miracle, the simple miracle of your breath. Appreciate it, listen to it. and feel the other breaths breathing with you in this moment. For the last minute of our seat, my friends, I want to invite you to breathe if you'd like. If you'd like, you don't have to. But to breathe with those who are suffering, those who are in mourning, those who are still in captivity. To breathe with them. To give them from the strength of your breath. And for the last couple of breaths, breathing with each other, connecting to each other, elevating each other. Appreciating really the gift of this space. And we take a beautiful breath in, out. And we get ready to say Kaddish with Rabbi Mark.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Mira. Friends, those of you who are in mourning or observing your site are invited to take this time to recite the Mourner's Kaddish with me, or if it's your custom to join. Thanks to Rachel for sharing the words on the screen, and those who are not reciting Kaddish, we hope you'll stay present for those who are. If you'd like to put the name or names of those you're honoring today in the chat now or after we recite Kaddish, you are welcome to do so. And I invite you to rise with me in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Eat Gadal, Gadash, Merabah, Ma Dibra, Ayed, Israel, Ha'agala, Karev, Amen. Yehesh, Elava, Barach, Elam, Elame, Alaya, Yitbarach, Yitbach, Yitzhar, Yitzham, Yitnaseh, Hadar Al Shemed Kusha V'Yichu La'ela Mikol Birchata V'Shirata Tush B'Chata V'Nechamata Miran Ba'alma V'Yimru Amen. Yehi Shalom Rabbeinu Shemaya Chaim Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael Timru Amen. Shalom Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael Kol Yoshvei Tevel Timru Amen.
Amen.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. May those who are mourning be comforted together with all who mourn. And I want to thank our teacher today, Rabbi Mira Neshama Weil, as always, for leading us so beautifully. And thank Rachel Hugot for holding our space, our Mishkan, our tech space beautifully as well. And each of you for being here. And as I mentioned at the outset, unfortunately, I have to leave at this point. But Rabbi Mira is happy to stay on to respond to your questions and just to keep an eye on your reflections. Or to, if you would like, you're welcome to use this time and space to continue to sit together and use this community practice as a container for your practice. And I'll see you on Wednesday. I hope you'll join us tomorrow for practice with Rabbi Josh Fagelson, who'll be leading our session tomorrow. And look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday. Many blessings, and I'll turn it back over to Rabbi Mira to field your questions, respond to your questions, and reflections about today's practice. Be well, everyone.
Bye, dear Rabbi Mark. Shalom, friends. So, first of all, I want to say that I love seeing, it may sound paradoxical what I'm going to say, and I apologize in advance, but your prayers for healing for people or your blessings for the memory of someone, there's something quite beautiful to it because it speaks of love. It speaks of love, deep care and connection. It says that you are connected, that you are loved, and that you love. And that's quite, it's quite a miracle, the miracle of love. So friends, I see a question here in a direct message, and I want to invite you to write your questions if you have questions, and I'll try to address as many as I can. Alors, I see a question that is, how do you recommend balancing the benefits of self-reflection with self-criticism and negativity? It's a very good question. I just want to, if I could, I would ask for a clarification. When you mean self-reflection, do you mean a kind of soul assessment, like cheshbon nefesh, and how to not fall into self-criticism and negativity? So I'll assume this is the question, and I'll address that. I think it's very important. And like most spiritual practices, and this is why we need teachers, we all need teachers, there is always the risk of falling too hard in a way, of kind of going too far on a specific line again, I guess, and then of doing something that becomes not life affirming and therefore counterproductive. And I think the balance here is between honesty and compassion. Yeah. So I think the ground and the condition for self-transformation is deep honesty with ourselves. It's a willingness to meet the truth, yeah? And cheshbon nefesh, soul accounting, is at the heart of this. And I want to share with you also that the hashkata meditation technique, the Hasidic meditation technique that I practice and that I offer, there's a verse that we say in the middle of the meditation, and it's Hashem Elokim Emet, beingness, God is truth. Because if I'm not connected to truth, if I'm not seeing where I need tikkun, where I need rectification, healing, where I need adjustments, well, I can't go anywhere, right? And at the same time, there is the risk to kind of take honesty and self-honesty, as you said, in the direction of beating myself up, to say it bluntly, right? Self-criticism, blame, and shame. And the thing is, maybe you've noticed that blame and shame and self-criticism has never helped anyone change. Doesn't help, right? There is a great psychologist, American psychologist in the 20th century, Carl Rogers, and he said, I'm going to paraphrase, but he said, only once I accept myself fully, then I can begin to change. And so there is this paradox, my friends, which is that, you know, obviously there is room for improvement. As humans, this is part of the human condition. This is why we're here on earth. In the Jewish tradition, we're all here to do a tikkun. If you've been familiar with Hinduism, for instance, and the idea of karma and lives and etc., it's actually, we have the same concept in the Jewish tradition. We all are here. We all came on this planet to do a specific tikkun. So the idea of shipur, of improvement, of ta'alich, of process, of healing, of tikkun, is very much at the heart of spiritual practice. But the foundation of it, the kind of balance to truth, is love. And love has to be unconditional. And that's the key. That's the key, friends. Love has to be unconditional. What do I mean by this? It means that if I love myself when I'm clever and deep and funny and successful, it means I'm going to love myself less when I'm weak and jealous and depressed and envious. Yeah? And what does it say, all these negative emotions or these less pretty sides of me? It speaks of my weaknesses. It speaks of my fears. It speaks of my need to be seen and valued and loved, and the fear of not receiving it, and the fear of not being good enough. And from here start the whole kind of cycle, vicious cycle of behaving in ways I'm not going to be so proud of, and then blaming and shaming myself, and then not changing because it's part of the cycle. And so love has to be the foundation. Love has to be the foundation. And in the Pirkei Avot, we're in a time that we're reading the Pirkei Avot in between Pesach and Shavuot. And in the first chapter, it said, right, that the world is built on three pillars, and one of them is emet, is truth. And one of them is chesed, loving kindness. And then in the Psalms, we say, Olam chesed yibaneh, loving kindness, loving myself, not because I look like this or talk like this or do this or that, but because I have the divine spark, because I am a divine spark. I was just listening to a beautiful rabbi here in Israel, commenting on each sphira. And he was saying that Yesod Shebe Yesod, we're in the end of the day of Yesod Shebe Yesod, the foundation of foundation in the Sfirat HaOmer. And he says that the symbol of it is Ahava she'enu tluya b'davar. She'enu tluya b'davar. It's a love that is not depending on anything. It's Ahavat Chinam, it's free love. And it's the opposite of Sinat Chinam, of free hatred, which we see a little bit too much right now in the world. So, I could keep talking about this for 20 minutes, but my bottom line is this. See the self-criticism and the shame and the blame. See it for what it is. Don't judge it. Don't judge the self-criticism, because then it's like you enter another cycle of being the judge because you're judging yourself, yeah? And it's not going to get you anywhere. And notice that behind the judge, behind the self-criticism, maybe you're embodying your own parents. Maybe you're actually trying to help yourself change, but you haven't found a better way. So see the love underneath. See the love underneath. And then recognize that maybe it's not so helpful, and so that you can try something else. And many times I feel we have to kind of turn things upside down and have a little more self-discipline where we tend to indulge, but a little more love where we tend to blame. So in terms of emotions and how we relate to ourselves, the invitation is to just love ourselves unconditionally and saying, I am okay. But then looking at our actions, perhaps having a little more mindfulness, carefulness, and saying, this is not okay. I am okay. I am perfectly okay, but this is not okay. And can I, choose not to do this and choose to do that instead? And then can I forgive myself if I don't manage? And can I be patient with myself? But basically, try growing a flower by hitting on it. It's not going to work so much. The flower needs water, it needs sun, and it needs love. Did you know that scientific studies have found that flowers, plants, if you speak to them, they grow better if you love them? And I'm sure you've found that out by yourselves. Yeah, I'm going to stop here with this question. It's so deep, I could go on for a long time. I want to take a breath. I want to look at, thank you, friends. I want to look if there is just another question I can address quickly. Yeah, there is a website and Karen shared it. Thank you. You're very welcome to join. Rachel, if you're here, if you can share the links to, because we're just starting new cycles of my Hasidic meditation group and the Torah Insights, the Torah study. So it's really like new cycles now, just starting now, one this week, one next week. So you're very welcome to join. And there's going to be a mini retreat in preparation for Shavuot, exactly on this, exactly on receiving. So thank you so much, Rachel, for sharing this. And I see a question. With intention to put full intention on a single breath, I find I am entangled with what feels like a directive to focus on praise and gratitude with each breath. I realize now that this actually distracts me from focus on the breath itself. It's a great question, Lori. So Lori says, when she hears instructions to focus on the breath, she feels like she should need to feel, gratefulness or something about the breath. And thank you for asking, because no, you don't. Sometimes, yes, there can be meditation instructions that invite you to feel gratefulness for this breath, to fall in love with your breath, to feel the miracle of life with each breath. But what I was trying to do today, at least at the beginning, was to get us back into our bodies. Because so often we're stuck right here and we spend most of our lives here. And have you noticed how mostly unhelpful it is to leave from here? Right? Kids, they leave from here. They leave from the kishkis and the belly and the intuition and the laughter and and then wisdom, it's actually going back there, but with awareness and with compassion, which is sometimes lacking in children. It's going back to this utter simplicity of the body. And I think it's extremely important from time to time to just be with the breath, just so I can give some rest to my brain, just so I can feel. But so often, friends, we tend to be dissociated. We live in completely over-intellectualized worlds. We live less in our bodies. And so I think it's very important in meditation practice to learn to come back to the simplicity of just feeling the breath, and that this should be enough. And I really bless you that in your next meditation, you can feel your breath and that you don't need to add an extra intention. You don't need to legalot mashu to, uncover some secret mystical. You just with your breath. And you'll see the deep rest and the deep connection it will bring. It can bring. Voilà. We have to close. If there are more questions I couldn't address because I can't read everything, feel free to write to me. This is my website. It's not my it's one of the pages. You have my email address there, so feel free to write to me. I'll be happy to address your questions. Let's take a breath as we say goodbye. Just that. Thank you so much, friends. May you have a beautiful week, beautiful transition towards the week of Malchut, receiving. And may we remember to receive and to give in simplicity.